Hello and welcome. My name is CallSignFinal, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my JG SR25, specifically my upgrades and my overall upgrades guide for you to do the same. To start, here's a picture of my gearbox. Post upgrades, note that at this point in time I had yet to install the SHS 24mm SR25 nozzle. For the upgrades I went with, I have a Garter SP140 spring, an SHS steel ball bearing spring guide, an SHS dual O-ring advanced piston head, an SHS 24mm SR25 nozzle, SHS 7mm bushings, and a Jefftron Leviathan trigger Mosfet. Noted, I have an Angel Customs 3mm sorbethane pad, that's on the end of the piston head. I have matrix shims, and a shrink mod done to my Garter SP140 with shrink tubing. Overall, the stock internals that I kept was the piston, the cylinder head, the tappet plate, the tappet spring, trigger spring, the anti-reversal latch spring, and then the gears. For the gun itself, I have it set to where there's no safety. It's just semi-auto locked. The selector switch doesn't move at all. That's what it sounds like just by itself. I got a magazine here. That's dry firing. And then with BBs in it, and then let's turn my chronograph on here. See what it's shooting at right now. 399, 396.5, 396.1. Let's see here. Go to shot memo. Got last shot was 393.4, 392.4, 393, 394.3, 393.8, 394.9. The overall sniping capabilities. I have it set up pretty well for range with a ProWin Hopup chamber with a modified Rhop arm from Airtech Studios. I have that paired with a modified flat bucking and a custom cut Rhop patch. The ProWin modified Hopup bucking and the ZZI inner barrel is a really good setup. They actually have a kit. I found that out after I already did it. They have a kit on Amazon through Evike that you can get that has those three things and a pre-cut Rhop patch for it. But that was already after I did the setup that I realized that those all mesh pretty well. This does really, really, really well for what I want it to do. I get about accurate shots up to about 250 feet, and then after that it goes up to about 275 to even up to 300 feet. It does very, very well outdoors. I'm pretty impressed with it. The BBs I use are EMG 0.32 gram BBs, just standard BBs. And it does really, really, really well. I did use 0.3s, and I realized going up to 0.32s that I get a little bit more range out of my Rhop. The overall stealth capabilities. I have a Garter SP140, and then I did a shrink mod to it, where every third coil I put about a piece of shrink tubing that big. It's about I think they're about 5 centimeters long, 10 centimeters long, something like, or millimeters long. It's about a centimeter in length for each one, and you just coil them on there, and every third coil, you put a piece of shrink tubing on there, and you heat it up with a lighter, and they shrink down, and it reduces that reverberation, because I'm having that problem really bad with this gun. But I was able to minimize that a lot with that shrink mod. And then with sorbethane, I have it set up with an SHS dual O-ring advanced piston head with an Angel Customs 3mm sorbethane pad on it.
Now for how this gun performed out of the box.
Well, I definitely recommend this gun if you were going to take the time to upgrade it. Out of the box, this gun's pretty terrible. Out of the box, the Mosfet, it's an inline Mosfet when you first get it, and the Mosfet just fried itself whenever I got mine. The battery, it was fitted to large Tamiya, and the battery fried the Mosfet, and I had to get a new Mosfet. I put a Matrix inline Mosfet in here that was wired to small Tamiya. Started using small Tamiya batteries. Just using 9.6 volt nickel metal hydride batteries. And it, after I got it to finally start shooting, it was shooting up and to the right consistently. It was super consistent, up and to the right. So I decided to just break this gun down and pull out the inner barrel and swap the hop-up chamber and the bucking. Put it all back in. That didn't change anything. So I pulled out the inner barrel, polished it, like mirror polished it, put it back in. That didn't change anything, so I decided to break into the internals of the gun, where I swapped out the piston head. And at first I didn't know they made nozzles. I figured it could be the nozzle, but I didn't change the nozzle out. I just went with an upgraded piston head, messed around with the internals a little bit, and then put in a Jefftron Leviathan. That didn't change the up and to the right, so I figured out SHS makes nozzles for it, so I bought one, put it in there, immediately solved the problem. This gun immediately started shooting really well, so I decided to buy an Airtech Studios R-Hop arm and a modified flat bucking, and set this gun up with an R-Hop, and then I bought a ZZI inner barrel and put it in here, and it performed very, very, very well.
Upgrades guide.
All right, if you want to use this gun out of the box, I have it set up with a new Mosfet, but I have the stock motor that's in it. It's a JG blue high torque motor. It comes stock with this gun. I have the stock gears. It's the stock pinion. It has the stock anti-reversal latch. It has the stock piston. It's got the stock cylinder. It's got the stock cylinder head. It has all the stock externals except for the sling plate. It's got a new trigger, new Mosfet. It's got a new piston head. It's got a new spring guide, spring. It has a new mag release. But out of the box, you could roll with the stock barrel as long as you polished it. The stock hop-up chamber honestly wasn't that bad. Swap in a new bucking. Keep the same motor. For the trigger contact, I'd recommend highly just getting a new trigger contact. Getting a new trigger contact with maybe a Gate Nano series Mosfet and wiring it in. That or like a Nuke Fed or something. Wiring it in with an inline Mosfet that's like a $4 trigger contact and like a $25, $30, $35 Mosfet. Setting it up with that, keeping the stock trigger.
Final looks.
I did some modifications to the externals as well. This sling plate does not come with the gun. It is actually a G&G sling plate from an M4 that I had to modify. I had to cut the bottom off of it in order to get it to fit. And then this is a new mag release. The old one stripped out, so I had to get a new one. Forget what the brand is, but I had to get it off of some Chinese website. I think it actually is. I got it for the JG. It's a JG branded one. I forget what website I bought it off of, but I had to do that. I had to mess with the fire selector because it was a little wobbly after I used this gun for about a year. I had to Loctite it down, and I just decided to completely Loctite it down and have it set to safe full time, and then I turn the Jefftron Leviathan to fire whenever it's on safe. I have it set to semi, but the selector doesn't move. So that way I don't have to worry about it. And that way when I plug the battery in, it's good to go, ready to go. The trigger is tuned to where it just barely has to move at all. It's already pre-adjusted back, so it only moves a little bit. To shoot, you just barely have to pull it in order for it to shoot.
They're everywhere. You got guys on your right, guys on your left.
Yeah, I killed like 5 or 6 on this right that just pushed up.